Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with Oni and Seth. These are members of the Investor Fuel Mastermind, friends of mine. And we're going to be talking about kind of creative problem solving, learning a little bit more about their business. They operate in a couple of different markets that are very different markets, since they've kind of had to navigate really being in a buyer's market and a seller's market, and very different kind of price points and very different kind of strategies ultimately. So you're in for a good show. So what's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, Mr. Mike, and everything's great.
Yeah, good to see you guys. So before we kind of jump in, I want to talk about how you guys, I think it's interesting to kind of have partners talk about how they manage different parts of the business. You guys live in different markets, you operate in different markets, but still interact and kind of pull the whole thing together. And I know you do a lot of creative deal structuring too. And I want to get into some kind of case studies and talk about creative solutions for problems. I think, obviously creative deal structuring has become a lot more popular over the last few years. And so we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. So before we get started, can you guys maybe just take turns introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and then how you guys kind of met and came together?
You want to go, Oni?
All right, my name is Oni, originally from West Africa, Nigeria. I got in the business probably, I would say, after the real estate bust, which is almost 08, if I'm right. Long time. I get called the OG now. It makes me feel bad, but that's okay.
That's when I started. I get the same thing. Yeah. Sometimes they refer to old something. I'm like, I don't want to be associated with old, but yeah. Whatever.
So I'm actually an engineer, but I started electronic engineering, and during the tech bust, I kind of had to go into real estate by default, and I started with what's the guy? Is that old guy that used to give us what's the name? Used to give us manuals, and I remember his name. I started with that, and Ron LeGrand was part of another old software read through. During that phase, I ran a brokerage, but most importantly, my love is still investing. Probably done over, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 transactions, and from subject to contract for deed, wraparound mortgages.
My name is Seth Timmerman. I've been investing in real estate since about 2018, early 2019. I have a background in sales. That was what I started right out of high school, doing all kinds of different sales. I've sold just about everything that you can imagine, from cars to insurance to credit card processing to windows and siding and roofing, in home, business to business, door to door. You do it, you name it, I've done it.
Yep.
And then I got into the trades, just trying to get a more steady 9-to-5 type income versus the commission based, and ended up starting my own home improvement business, and was doing that for a long time, probably 6 or 7 years, in the 2010 range. And most of my clients were investors, and I was doing the work for them, and I kind of wanted to figure out how I could be on the other side, right? And then my wife got pregnant, and so I had a daughter on the way, and it was like, all right, Seth, it's time to make the decision. I went to a local RIA, actually hosted by Oni, and that's where I met him. And it's kind of been a downhill spiral ever since then, man. We've been working together almost since that day, doing all kinds of deals together. I love it. I love the sales aspect and the acquisitions aspect of it. I moved to Morgantown, West Virginia about 2.5 years ago. But Oni and I had already started this, and we were running with it. And we said, well, let's open it up into another market. And so I still talk to him almost every day. And we got a nice little business going.
That's great. And you guys are set up where, Seth, you're mostly the integrator, and Oni, you're more of the visionary, and you guys are kind of tag teaming and managing the team that way.
That's correct.
Yep. So let's talk about how you guys, maybe we could talk a little bit about how you think you're better together. Like you were both kind of doing this and could do this. And there's a lot of partnerships where they probably could do it separately, right? Everybody could, I guess. But like how it makes sense to do things that are kind of more together, partner up versus independent.
Independent, and I've done it independent game, and I've done it for a long time, and you get to wear many hats,
Yeah.
and and that consumes a lot of time during your daytime because you're wearing many hats. You have to deal with the contractor, you have to deal with the agent, you got to deal with you got to deal with the title company, and it's just way easier as long as everybody's on the same team, and that and you have your core values, same people trying to accomplish the same thing. It is way easier. You probably make more money doing it as a team than trying to do everything by yourself because it's exhausting. And I've done that for a long time. I said, you know what? It's easy to have a team where you have your transaction coordinator, your business partner, the money, the people who get you the money. I mean, it just saves the executive assistant. I mean, it just makes full sense. Your acquisition team, your dispo, it just makes full sense. You kind of work as a team, and you enjoy the reason why you're in business for freedom, not just to get stuck and trying to get everything done. So it's just easier.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to having partnerships. I mean, I say I haven't done anything by myself. My wife was involved for a long time, but kind of going forward, almost anything I do is some sort of collaboration or
Yeah.
partnership, or it's just, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at and, or what I don't enjoy. And so why put myself in a position where I'll have to do things that I don't want to do. We all have to do some level of that, right? But the more you can kind of go into it, being able to focus on what you like the best, what you're good at is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just the way that Oni and I work is, I mean, it's a shared vision, right? Like we have this, we align directly with core values. Like we are cut from the same cloth. But it also just comes down to, I say it all the time with people that I talk to, newer investors and stuff like that. Like 50% of something is always greater than 100% of zero. And so I'm almost just like you, Mike. I very rarely have I done deals solo. I enjoy the partnership aspect. One, I can lean on other people's strengths and leverage my strengths, but also when I have a win, I want to share it with somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
doing it by yourself, it's hard to share a win, but with yourself, you know.
Yeah. And I think too, I've said this a lot lately, is that as a partner or a joint venture partner or some sort of collaboration, like it holds you accountable. As an entrepreneur, I'll let myself down all day long just because I'm complacent. I'm like, whatever. It's not a big deal. But if I know I'm accountable to somebody else, we just achieve more because it forces accountability.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, accountability is part of our core value. So just put that in mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accountable is one of our core values.
Our
Yeah.
number one core value, actually. So,
One of the things that we were talking about up front is you guys, your commitment to EOS, or like an operating system that kind of helps hold you accountable, helps hold your whole business accountable, right? So, talk about how you guys, obviously, a lot of real estate investors and a lot of entrepreneurs use EOS or some variant of that. So, talk about the importance of that in your business.
I think it's hugely vital. Um, uh, I've never built a business right before, just a one man show, handyman type situation, and things like that, and made a lot of mistakes along the way. But when you start building a team and you start having um, more than one or two people in a room, and you're trying to hold groups accountable, it shows you systems and processes that need to be in place. It gives you a very strong structure on talking through the problems. And I think the most powerful thing with like our level 10s that we have every single week is that we understand that it's 100% a safe place with the people that are in that room. We have knockout conversations, right? Like I think it should be like this. No, it needs to be, and we sort it out and we figure it out, right? And but we know that everybody's going to get heard at that forum, and it makes the business better because I'm not right all the time. Oni isn't right all the. We know that, right?
Yeah.
Even though as entrepreneurs we think we are, probably more often than we should. But it's nice to have that forum to be able to hear everybody's input.
Yeah. I've always said, kind of outside of EOS, I think EOS are, we have a fuel operating system for our members. It's a variant of like,
Mhm.
it's just real estate specific. But in operating, basically a quarterly meeting, a planning meeting, an annual meeting, things like that provides you, it's almost like a check-in for your car. Like you get your oil changed about every quarter or every 3,000 miles or whatever it is these days. But and so it's kind of this forced time to get together and say, how are we doing? What can we do better? And if you're not, if you're willing to kind of hear it and vulnerable, like what can I do better as a employee or a team member or a partner or whatever. And so I think it's a way for people to come together to kind of have the airing of grievances a little bit. Like, let's kind of get rid of some of these issues. Because if you don't, as entrepreneurs, I've seen a lot of partnerships end because people just, something festers and they never really talk about it and they don't have a venue to talk about it like a quarterly
Exactly.
planning meeting or annual planning meeting might have.
True, true, true.
Yep. So let's talk about operating in multiple markets. Like you guys have very different markets. You're operating in Richmond and you're operating in West Virginia. And I've had a lot of friends or known a lot of people that, not a lot, but several people that operate in West Virginia. And I know it's a very different market, generally speaking. So just talk about, you have to train your team differently. Your acquisitions have to be different. The acquisitions is way different in each market. The dispo, I guess the acquisitions and the dispo is very different in each of those markets. So maybe talk about the differences, I guess what's similar and what's different.
For like in the West Virginia market, which is always Fed is mostly in that market. It's a very interesting market. It's easy to acquire, very easy to acquire, but it's hard to dispose. So most of your energy is put into the dispose section, and also you're gonna have it's a lot of buy and hold. It's a lot of buy and hold market. It's not like our market where it's hard to acquire, but very easy to dispose. And then you kind of come to realize it's a lot more wholesale or quick turn real estate. So those are the two differences in those markets. So you just have to figure out where does your acquisition and dispose have to put more energy into it. And that's kind of how we operate that market.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that Morgantown, West Virginia specifically is very unique because the property values, like just price per square foot, um, is lower than the Richmond market for sure. You can get a much bigger house here in Morgantown than you can in Richmond, Virginia, um, for the dollar. But the rental prices aren't that much different because
Oh,
it's still got that college town with WVU and things of that nature, and the hospital that's associated with WVU. So it's a great market for the buy and hold. Whereas in the Richmond market, it's a lot more like we've seen from like 2021 to now, like across the country, but definitely in the Richmond market more than the Morgantown market, huge appreciation. And you don't see that as much in this West Virginia market.
yeah.
Prices are a lot more steady. And so that's why you have less investors in this area. So you almost have to be willing to take down more deals in this area to be able
Right.
to monetize it and actually make the marketing dollars make sense.
Yep.
Um, but it's a lot easier too because you're just having good old conversations with good old folks about properties, and a lot of even Morgantown is just owned by just a couple of guys that have just acquired it over time, and things like that. You get a lot of tired landlord situations,
Yeah.
and in probate situations here.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about how you guys like the structure of your team and how you guys as partners kind of manage different components of the team.
So we have at any given time we have it in between 1 to 3 acquisitions managers, um, and we'd like to get someone here in Morgantown, but right now that's been me, which is fine. I enjoy that. I've got the sales background, and we don't spend a lot of the marketing dollars here in the Morgantown area, so yeah, I can handle it and still kind of go about my day and do the other things that the company needs. But we like to be belly to belly. We have done the virtual stuff as far as like down in Virginia Beach, we may not go and we may do sight unseen offers and things of that nature. But we try to be belly to belly with every client that we talk to, meet them in person. And then once we get something under contract, it's kind of a team effort. Like we incentivize our acquisitions guys. If they bring the buyer as well on the wholesale deal, they're going to get an extra commission on the disposition side. Anybody on the team that's in the management side, Oni, myself, or our other partner, Joe, have the ability to make money on the acquisitions or disposition side as well. We don't hold anything back. If one of us does the work, we pay ourselves out, you know.
Yep.
So it's great in that aspect that we're able to train the acquisitions to do what they need to do, train dispositions to do what they need to do, but still jump in time that it kind of needs it.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome. Have you guys, and can you talk a little bit about, your let's talk about kind of creative deal structures. I know you guys pride yourselves on using a lot of creativity. Oni, I know you said you were kind of trained by Ron LeGrand. He's kind of the godfather of doing a lot of creative stuff, and of course you just learn a lot of potential solutions as you're kind of going on an ongoing basis. But talk about, especially since you have very different markets, like you got to find ways to get creative sometimes, right? And I think in the market we're in right now, people are forced to find ways to get creative to make deals work that they're already spending the advertising dollars on, or already have an opportunity there. But sometimes you gotta get a little creative, right? So how do you know, maybe Seth, you could start off by saying, like, how do you know, do you guys always go in with the cash purchase up front, and then if that doesn't work, pivot? And talk about that a little bit. Or do you always go in trying to find a way to get creative right up front?
I think that the way that it should be done, I wouldn't say that we do it 100% of the time. You know, I mean, systems and processes. But the way that it should be done is feel it out in the beginning, right? Obviously, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is what we're going to offer you. Also, if you're interested, we have other options that are a little bit more creative, and just kind of leave that carrot there. And no matter what they say, whether it's yes or no, don't get too deep into it at that point. And then when you go to present an offer, um, anchor with a cash offer that's lower than even what you can do, lower than your maximal allowable, and then present some type of creative structure along with that side by side. Um, and ideally, the number that creative is still within your cash so that you have negotiation
Yeah.
abilities. But I think that if you get into that situation where you're just presenting the cash offer and then, oh no, that's not going to work. Oh well, here, let me, like, it almost feels like a little bit of a sales pitch and a desperation type situation where it's more, this is what I can offer you and this is why. This is
Yeah.
why they're different, and this is why this one makes actually probably more sense for me doing it creatively. What makes most sense for you?
Yeah. Talk about, Oni, talk about that. I know you're the mastermind behind a lot of the creative techniques. Like, talk about, like, what, when you guys first make that offer, you said you make a cash offer and pair it with, or we could do this, some sort of creative offer. Like, what are some common creative offers you make out of the gate, that make that cash offer maybe look better or more appealing?
I mean, everything is based on the seller's need, as usual.
Yeah.
So if the seller also wants a little cash and we know what he wants to use the cash for, we can probably provide that much cash for them to do. If the seller sometimes decides they don't need cash, they just want to take it off their books because they know that it's going to go to the kids and the kids are going to squander it, then
Mm.
that makes sense to be something a little more financing option. We've done transactions where it's actually zero down on the deal, or sometimes they want 50% of the down payment of the 150%. Then we have to kind of restructure. Whereas I can go get an investor who will put the 50% down as a first mortgage, and they are willing to take a second, and maybe they will do it for, I don't know, 2 3 years. Then you know that, okay, you have 2 3 years on that deal to refinance or sell or cash them out. So you
Okay.
put that in mind. So they come in different forms and shapes, and sometimes you will buy on a contract for deed, or you buy on a wraparound mortgage just because of an existing mortgage, and then you sell on the contract for deed. Sometimes you take a subject to and you sell on a contract for deed. But it all depends on all the seller's need, and also at the same time when you're buying creatively, you also have to worry about the end buyer, how they're gonna buy it, because
Right.
that you cannot, you have to dispose of property somehow, and this by doing that you have to structure it where, okay, the buyer wants to buy, he only has this much down, and sometimes we take it down, then we bring it down more, a larger sum of payments, while he's still paying the mortgage. I'll take 10,000 next 3 months and the next 4 months. So sometimes we've had it in a way, whereas maybe I only have one buyer, and he's stuck at this price, and he doesn't have the full amount. So we just take a second more. I mean, we take the wholesale fee and put us a second mortgage on the property, and gets payments and give him I don't know, a date in the future. Whatever it takes to make it work, we kind of we kind of try to make it work. I have an engineering background, so I enjoy the engineering behind it, just trying to put the piece together. So they all come with different needs, and I've done this in commercial, I've done it in residential. It's the same financing; it doesn't make any difference. But it's just looking at the seller's need, looking at my position in that deal, and also trying to see, okay, what does my buyer need, and kind of marry the two together and make it work.
Yeah, yeah. So Seth, when you guys are doing the acquisitions, are there what are some questions that you guys might ask if you go into it always kind of creatively or always making a creative offer to trying to flush out what the buyer needs, like what their expectations are? I mean, sometimes people might ask, do you still have payments on the property, or what are some things you do to kind of flush out? Because like Oni said, well, if you find out if they need the money now, like how do you ask questions that don't feel like unnatural to be like, what are you going to do with this cash when you get it? Or maybe that's a
Yeah,
question you ask, but what are some things you ask
sure.
to try to help you guys start to position what this deal might look like?
So we work with the REI Sales Academy with Jerry Green as well, who
Yep.
we got hooked up through Investor Fuel. And I think one of the big things with his sales process, and something that I've always pushed as well, is just building rapport. Um, there are no uncomfortable questions when we built enough rapport with the seller. I
Okay.
think in this business, a lot of people are so quick to, hey, Mike, how much do you need for your house? Oh, well, da, da, and start getting into numbers like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes into a conversation. Like, don't do that. Make a friend. Find out what the problems are. Lean into what the problems are, and then you can get into the solutions a lot better.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you need to know if there's a mortgage in place. To answer your question, you need to know like what the liens are and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, what's the next step in your journey, right? Are you moving and relocating? Is it just a house, and whether you sell it or not, it's not going to change your day to day? What's your house? What does your life look like after this property is sold?
Yep.
And are there moves that you need to make? What are those moves? How are you going to make them? You
Yeah.
know,
And if people, sometimes I think a lot of acquisitions folks or people that are meeting with sellers, like it's hard for them to start ask those questions because it feels unnatural. But I guess if you position it as like, look, we're here to help you. I just need to gather some information and kind of better understand your situation. I mean, is that how you typically position it?
yeah. So
People are like,
our mission
why do you
statement
need to know that?
our mission statement is we provide solutions to every client we serve, right? And the word solution is used by our acquisitions manager multiple times,
Mhm.
multiple times, right? And so that's what it is. I want to make a connection with you. I want to find out what your problems are, and I'm just here to provide solutions. If we can do business, that's great. If we don't do business and I still provide you a solution, that's fine too,
Yeah.
right? Like I just want to solve your problem. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what your problem really is, and what the best course of action is, and then let's have a conversation how we can make that happen.
Yeah, that's great. And have you found that people, when you kind of give those two offers, cash and a creative solution, have you found that a lot of people end up like the cash offer looks better when they are presented with like possible terms and like, well, I don't really want to do that.
It really is. It's funny because I like to write an odd number for my first cash offer. So instead of 140,000, I'll do 139,615 or something like that.
Right.
Just so that I know that was my first number.
Yeah.
And when I'll put my anchor price in there, and then I'll put in some stuff. It's funny how many contracts we write at my anchor price. It's like, man. maybe I left some meat on the bone, you know,
Yeah.
like y'all. But I mean, I'm happy to get the deal, and
Right.
it's under what I could have offered, so it's great.
Yep. Yep. So what do you guys, what are your, where do you see the market going from here? What are some challenges you guys are facing right now that you're trying? Obviously, everybody always wants more deals and all that, but what are some challenges you guys are facing as a team?
I think is keeping our acquisitions guys busy. I mean, they have a lot. There's a lot of people lawing out there. So acquisition is always keeping that talent on the team constantly. We do get a lot of we do get a lot of dispo guys for talents, but acquisition is always it's a different mindset compared to dispo guys. So that's always been a but that's been a major challenge, and we have the leads coming in constantly. It's just
Mhm.
that getting, and also like you said earlier on, getting the mindset of the acquisition guy to understand that it's a conversation, and we're trying to find a solution. But after a couple of training and them going through sales, Jerry Green's classes, they get to understand them more better. But usually that's the challenges here. And like I said, our market is is hard to acquire, so we are strong on the acquisition side here. Then at this point, that can go so quick. Yeah, you put on the market, people are paying more than 70%. ARV, so that's kind of what we are dealing with
Yeah.
here.
That's great. And what's your vision for your team? You guys talk a lot about, you guys obviously do a lot of planning. And where do you guys see yourselves going from here over the next, like, let's say 3 to 5 years even?
So when we started EOS 2.5 years, 3 years ago, we set our target for our 10-year target on our VTO, our Vision Traction Organization board. So we want to be in 15 markets across the
Wow.
U.S. and we want to have 100 deals per market. So we want to be doing the volume in all the markets that we're doing. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's a big
we
goal,
want to
man.
build it pretty big. I think our 3-year plan right now is we should be in probably 6 markets. We want to have 2 to 3 people located centrally in that market too, right? So the team's going to see a lot of growth in the
Yeah.
next 3 years or so.
That's a big, hairy, audacious goal, as they say. So that's,
Audacious goal.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. I
great.
wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
dream big. So, well, you guys know I'm here to help you if I can, and
Yes.
Fuel Family's here to help you for sure. So, we actually have, I don't know if you know, but we've got some guys in the group that are doing something similar. They're in 10 markets doing, close to that volume, a thousand, approaching 1,000 deals now. So, pretty amazing. But they're more than happy to kind of share their story. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Well, great to see you guys. If folks wanted to connect with you and learn more about what you guys are doing, uh, learn more about what markets you're going into, how to, sell to you or buy from you, where can they go?
So our site, we've got our site for our deals that we have. It's realvestorbuys.com.
Say that one more
Um,
time.
realvestorbuys.com. REALV is in Victor, ESTORBUYS.com.
Okay.
And that's probably good for the investors that are out there. It's Real Vestor Partners is the name of the company. So realvestorpartners.com is good for the people that are looking to sell houses and things of that nature. And then I'm on, you just look me up on Facebook or Instagram. I do a lot of stuff. I actually host a call once a week with somebody here locally in Morgantown. And we've got a good group of people from Canada and the US that meet up every week and talk about real estate and stuff like that. So I'm always
The
available.
Canadians, huh?
Yeah, well, we've got a decent amount of Canadians in our group that
There you
are
go.
doing cross-border investing and doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, cool. We'll add links for all that down below. So, guys, thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Everybody, thanks for joining us. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat, and a lot of it comes through partnerships, working with somebody else. We all have skill sets. We kind of all get into this for freedom. And then a lot of real estate investors end up doing a bunch of stuff they're not good at and they hate doing. So why not partner with somebody that can be a yin to your yang? So hope you guys enjoyed today's show. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.